Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular board meeting number 800, August 12, 2025, for the Lake Pend School District. First order of business is to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Read your hats and stand. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as published.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, first administration order of business is the summer 2025 facilities update with Facilities Director Matt Neal. Hi, Matt. Thank you.
Hi.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
We'll just
And
jump
thank
right
you for
in.
this. Thank you for this space.
Jump right into the slides.
Holy
We'll get to that
the
in a
elephant
minute.
in the room.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. So if you can. Okay, so kind of an overview of the district. We have 14 sites, 32 buildings, a little over 500,000 square feet of building, about 137 acres. And the staff that helps me get all that work done, maintaining that, is the maintenance team, 6 staff members. We have licensed plumbers, electrician, HVAC, carpenters, 2 of which are here tonight. Roy and Dave are in the back there. Custodial staff, 28 staff members. We have different levels of staff. We have like entry-level custodians, we have head custodians, and facility foremen, bigger schools. Again, clean over 500,000 square feet nightly during the school year, and then deep clean all that in the summer. Grounds department, we have 3 staff. We bring in our mail route person in the summer to help. Next. And that's calling the utility person. So he not only delivers the district mail, but also all the food for the schools. Then groundskeeping in the summer. Warehouse, 1 staff member. The bulk of his job is receiving, pulling, sorting, inventory of the child nutrition program. Which I don't have the numbers for you on that, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Semis full of food. Office staff is myself and Aline, my administrative assistant. I think at one point the accounting department here told us I think we were the biggest department of invoices and that kind of thing. There's just a lot of transactions to keep our crew supplied with the things they need, and also utility bills, whether it's Avista, City of Sandpoint, Waste Management. There's a lot of transactions, so the staff has, a lot to support that we feed to this building to get paid and be accounted for. I'll highlight some of the summer projects. This one, these 2 gentlemen were instrumental in. Out at Sagal, in the first picture, you can see where water was just bubbling up. So the crew, I'm super proud, like, we do this ourselves. And if you brought in a contractor, we did bring in a contractor with the hydro excavation, because we had a gas line here to excavate around. So we did have a contractor help with that, but these guys figured out the problem, excavated, repaired the problem, backfilled, poured the concrete. We did have a contractor put the asphalt in, but that's the kind of work we do. Next, some contracted projects. We replaced a roof at Washington Elementary. This summer up on the gym, it's that single ply roofing that just gets brittle and old. So it's just a maintenance project. And next Did the same thing out at Northside. That was actually back in spring break. But those are kind of big projects I wanted to highlight to you. And that's why you can tell the weather's a little different. That it's probably not wet. We know it hasn't rained in a long time here. So another example of work happening out in the schools. This is at Washington, a steam leak on that old piping. They pulled up the rug to clean for the summer, and the tile's all black. Well, it was like literally getting cooked under there. So it's like jackhammering, repairing the old piping. So that work's ongoing. And next, some parking lot maintenance. When we have a lighter snow year, a lot of times we'll use some of that to put back into the parking lots, because there's always plenty to do there. This is Colt Field. This is the middle school field, which is also the softball field. We had a big project this spring to refurbish that field. The grounds team replaced, I think, pretty much all the irrigation heads and reseeded and everything. It had gotten kind of clumpy because it wasn't healthy and the irrigation wasn't working right, and it just becomes unsafe and it doesn't look as nice. So that field's looking better. Replaced a fence at the track. That fence was literally rusting and falling over. So it was nice to get that done. It turned out really good, straight as a laser. Another great project from our talented maintenance crew, piece of playground equipment. Washington Elementary fundraised for this, Kootenai fundraised for this, and the guys put it in. There's 6 yards of concrete in the footings for that thing. But it'll hold the kids up when they attack that thing here in a couple weeks. Some energy efficiency and network safety upgrades to the schools. Our schools have, in a lot of cases, computers that control the HVAC systems. Well, as things evolve, bad people figure out ways into your network, and these were a few things that we need to resolve. We also upgraded some thermostats. It just looks like simple thermostats, but we can actually monitor them remotely, and so that's some upgrades that our teams did. We did some more building safety access control. Actually have probably the last door at Sandpoint High School done that will really help. Now once we take the next step with the school, we'll probably have to rekey the outside the building, but they can get to where they have badges, so then a coach can just use a badge to come right into the gym from the outside. Painting, Kelly, one of our maintenance guys who's really becoming a good painter, painted the building on the right, which is the Project 92 building, we call it. It's that little athletic building at the high school. So it didn't match before, and there wasn't good protection for the wood on the soffits, and so he painted that and did a really nice job. It's a lot of work to paint the building that size. I think it turned out really nice. Another good project for our maintenance team, just fixing some drainage at the transportation and maintenance facility. These are just some examples. There's also, besides these projects, there's also tons of preventive maintenance that goes on year round. We have software that, things pop up on a schedule, and we try to, it all doesn't come up in June, it comes up kind of accordingly, like the rooftop HVAC preventative maintenance probably pops up. I think we probably have it in like April, because you don't really want to be up there in July, and then it's up to the guys that these work orders pop up, and then they get out and do the preventative maintenance. So there's preventative maintenance for doors, electrical, HVAC, and then custodial. It's a tremendous amount of work. Here's some of our team at the high school. Stripping and waxing. Here's some of the middle school team and Farm Stidwell doing their thing. Another super cool project. Dr. Meyer met with the transportation team, and one of the things they were really were hoping for was some better lighting in the back of our yard. So we worked with the Vista and they helped us with, well, we got a rebate from the Vista corporate, but the local crew also helped us. And we spent some district funds too to upgrade the lighting, and we also, at the same time, updated the controls for the bus heaters. So I worked with Mr. Kaler, and we figured out, well, what's the, instead of the bus block heaters running 24/7, how long do we actually need to keep the block on the engine warm? So we figured out, working with this mechanic, that we can turn on those block heaters at, say, 2 in the morning on a school day, and it's plenty of time to warm up.
Cool.
Because that's like running an electric heater in the wall. So,
Yeah. Many of them, good upgrades.
so that was a good project.
But I just want to note that this is really important for safety.
Yeah.
Some of the drivers, whether it's male or female, but I'm just speaking for myself as a female coming in late at night when your trip, it may be midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and there wasn't lighting. And I feel like this is a really great safety upgrade. And I wrote a thank you to Vista because the local folks really helped us out and donated quite a bit. So it was really nice that they did
So
that.
the lighting is on controls and on a time clock, so it's not just going to burn 24/7 at night. But we did, James and I really looked at the layout of the parking lot, and we have one right in the front where that burns every night, all night. And so there's always a really nice, and we also doubled the fixtures on every pole. So there's an additional 3 poles, and so there's an additional 10 fixtures. So before we had 4 fixtures, so now we have 14 fixtures.
Cool. Good.
And then this meeting room, super proud of this. There's some pictures during the construction process, and then up until last week. Another cool project we're working on, and this is a donor-funded remodel and fixing up a really nice art room at the high school. The donor, in the room we were in there, they had to cap the class size at 24, and there was kids that wanted to take art that didn't have the opportunity because they didn't have enough room. So we took what was like a residential style cooking, which kids these days learn to cook their home style cooking. Now, commercial kitchens are a different topic, but this was more like a life skill type kitchen. Took that and had a design architect help figuring out how to lay it all out and spec lighting and polish the concrete floor. And the donor felt like he really liked the idea of kids being able to stand and do art. And so we have, this is like a canvas wall, and we put the name of the studio up there to honor he and his wife?
Yeah.
Mr. Schultz?
Yeah.
And that'll be lit up with track lighting, so we actually will have, a student can sit at a table about this height, or the other tables are more standing height, there's a bunch of those. So you can sit or stand at those, and you can stand and do art standing up. So you have lots of different positions you could do the art in.
I went and met all the students, and I sat through every class and took notes throughout a couple of times throughout the year. In the last couple of years, we've been working with this donor for the last 2 years to get this. It's fully funded, which I just want to thank the donor profusely for that. He's also funded for LPO, because Randy retired. He's funded for the LPO HS students to come over, and the art teachers, so they can use it on the period too. So there's a separate period just for the LPO HS students to come over and take art that he's funding as well. So that's really helpful.
So that's coming along good and almost getting real close to being done. And the CETE Center is going great. I have the schedule, and they're planning on finishing up in June. So
There's a nice aerial. Thank you for that,
So-
Matt.
pouring concrete in October, framing in October, November, roofing in December, paving in April, completion and final cleaning in June.
Wow.
Look at that, looks a lot different than we were there.
And it
for
looks
the
different,
groundbreaking day.
looks a lot different than that today too. That was last week. All right, next, the middle school remodel. So we have, there's some preliminary design stuff, and the schedule for that is bidding in March, this coming March. Construction starts late May to June, and completion for August of 27 is what the preliminary schedule shows. That's the portables being moved over to get ready so we have room for the students during the modernization. One last thing, we got some grants. So we got a grant to do some ventilation upgrades at Northside and Washington through the U.S. Department of Energy and Idaho Office of Emergency Management. So I worked on this quite a bit and also had some expert grant writing help from a really super supportive parent that I know Trustee Demers has met from the facility committee, Beth Wise. And so really a lot of help from her, but we got a significant, like $340,000, and the state only gave out $2 million, so we got 15% of the state's allotment. Are there any questions?
Congrats to all the workers. Good job, Roy, Dave, guys.
On behalf, we'd like to thank Matt on behalf of the board and I, we would
Just
like
like
to
the
give you
elementary
these
kids.
special treats.
Wow. Guys, stop it.
The reason why I do want the board to know, he one time came up and said, did you see the surprise I did for you? I came down and I'm looking, these weren't here yet. I'm looking and looking and I'm looking right at that. And I had no idea. I thought Kelly must have done it because that's our mission in our district, every student, every day. And I just thought, Kelly, like I didn't think Matt, I mean, I wasn't trying to be mean, but I didn't think Matt would think of that. He's like, it's that. And I'm like, oh, Matt, thank you so much.
I just thought of it. These guys installed it.
Yes,
Okay.
but I do want to say that you don't realize how much goes into, unless you've built your own house or built something, you don't realize the level of detail, and things can slip by people that you just can't get slipped by Matt, because he's like, oh no, this goes here and this has to be here, and so every day he was here to check on it. Very conscientious of the taxpayer dollars, very conscientious to make sure we're getting our money. They had to review a few things. They did a great job, and nobody was trying to cut corners, but I think just because of his oversight, I feel very confident in these projects because he is keeping on this stuff every day, like 7 days a week. So we really want to thank you on behalf of the board and I for all of your hard work, and just your conscientiousness is just not matched anywhere in the state.
Well, you're welcome.
So thank you.
Great team that helps me, and
Yes, we do.
we'll share these.
Yeah, I knew that Roy and David would like those as well. From the pantry, they're really healthy. They're real sugar, like it's not fake, it's real stuff.
All right. Next up, we have CFO Brian Wallace. Good luck.
Yeah, mine is really short. Chair Williams and board, Dr. Meyer. So finance report for this month is actually, there's not a whole lot to report on July as we just sort of start. Most of the expenditures really are charged to the previous year. So this is a real rough look at where we're going to end up in June. And where I'll highlight, we almost have all our revenues received. We'll have some property taxes that trickle in still, and maybe a couple other small things, some grants that are coming in. Some of those on impact the general fund, and some other dollars. But for the most part, you can see our revenues are at 101% of budget. So we're, it's pretty close to what we budgeted. Expenditures, we're very, close there. Again, we're at 98%. We will probably, I still have to do some transfers that will hit. There's some other accruals and other accounting. Some will be the good, some will be bad. But you can see that we'd be in the red for the year, 216,000. That's sort of like, this would be the first year we start. That will very likely increase with some of the adjustments we'll make for the accounting. So it's sort of the first year where we said we have this fund balance, we're going to start spending it down. This will be year one, and next year we'll probably, the trend will continue. So again, just graphically looking at it, you can see on the expenditure side, everything's sort of, full there. Some areas are a little higher, some a little lower. Like for example, on the salaries are a little higher, but some of that was offset because our purchase services were less. Some of that was we had planned to have like some special education services were going to be contracted, but we were able to find employees. So it varies from budget, but the dollars are sort of the same. Yeah. On the revenue side, you can see that everything was very actually close to budget. The one area that was the good side is the other local, and that's really mostly some of the grants we've received, and also interest. Yeah. So just a couple items of note for the month. First, this is good news. So the $6.8 billion was nationwide, but effectively Title II, Title IV, and Title IV-B, that our 21st Century Grant, that funding was restored for this year. So they're as budgeted, we'll get those, so that's really good news because a month and a half ago that was in limbo, so that's good. However, the note moving forward, the next year, 2026 to 27, those programs probably will not be funded. So these were already approved, and so I guess you never know. Congress could change things, but that's probably the likely result. Is that so we have some time to figure out how we want to tackle those challenges. The state funding, some good news. There's a digital content and curriculum funding that's actually sort of a competitive. You have to be like the first one to submit. It's first come, first serve. So on July 1 at 8 o'clock Mountain Time, so it's 7 o'clock our time, I was at the computer ready to hit submit. And I'm getting slow because of quite a few business managers beat me, but I got in undercut. So that's 38,000 to the good we've already received, so that's good news that I didn't budget that because you never know if you're going to get it. And then the other possibility in state funding is a 2, 4, 6% budget holdbacks are still a possibility. There hasn't been any updates at the state level, but that's still a possibility. So we'll know more probably near November, December. And that's all the news I have. Any questions?
Thank you. No questions from anybody else? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up we have public, superintendent report.
Want to change me?
Almost blue, right?
This is the end of the year recap, so this is the recap, so I'm just summarizing for the year what were the goals and how we met them. Then next month, I will be presenting what the goals for the year for the next school year is and how we plan to meet those goals. So just remind you that our focus this year was on one thing. Everybody focused on the one thing, and we'd all collectively, our efficacy would go up. Every student, every day. Reminding you that our strategic plan with the 4 buckets, the student is at the center of everything we do. And this was in last month. I'm just re-putting it in case anybody from the public wants to access it, summarizing that this was our update for the end of the year, how we met the deliverables in our strategic plan are in here, and they're linked right in there. Student learning at the center of everything we do. Reminding the board, these are how we met the 3 goals that you have, which really ended up being 4 because there's 2 under number 3. But the 1 trusted adult, graduation rate, and our student achievement. These are the 3 goals that the board's focused on this last school year. So the first one trusted adult. We wanted the board wanted to have 100% of students will identify as 1 trusted adult by the end of the year. We are at 99.3, which is great. It's always great to shoot for 100, and that's our target, but 99.3 of all of our students saying they have 1 trusted adult is very impressive. So great job on that one. Second one, graduation rate. We want to be 95% or more students will graduate. You know, Mr. McLaughlin can't get that done until February when it actually is reported out, but after the year before it was 86.2. We know that it's going to be higher because Clark Fork has 100%. We could verify that, but we can't. Casey will come back and report on that in February. The third one that you had was student achievement. We said we were going to be 80% or more on the IRI of K-3 students would be proficient. Guess what? We were 79.5. So that rounds up to 80. So I would say that we're pretty darn close, or that we've made it in my book. But also just to highlight, you probably saw it in the news, and I did tell the board, our kindergartners in our district were second in the state. A charter school is the only one that beat us with our kindergartners. We were 92%. That's the second highest in the state. That's very impressive, and thank you to all of our hardworking teachers, K through 3, but especially a big kudos to those kindergarten teachers, because those little kids in the beginning of the year, some of them can't even sit still for more than a few minutes, so it's pretty amazing. This is showing you, if you look at, I can't remember the pointer thing on here, but you can see we moved up and we beat Coeur d'Alene and Lakeland this year. Last year we were below Lakeland, which was a little bit of a thorn for me. So this year I just wanted to point out that we are in the very top. We're number 4 in the entire state. Post Falls still beat us, and so we're going to find out what Post Falls is doing. We have a visit to that coming up. But you can see that we did outperform quite a few people and jumped ahead of some districts. Here, for the math, we have, we said we wanted to go up by 3% overall, and we went up by 2.5%, which again rounds up to 3, so I'd say you guys big this one too. So it's preliminary data, they still have to scrub it, which means that it'll come back again, and Casey will come back again for that. I want to point out statistics. I don't know if you know this, and it'd be great for the Daily Bee to know that our student connection really improving academic engagement. This is our AP stats. Look over here where we were, our mean score and the scores of 3 or higher. But you can see we had a 375, Idaho is 3.3, and global is 2.92. Look at the percentage of 3s or higher. And this is on a 5-point scale. Look at that. Globally, only 60%. We were 8. We beat state and global in AP stats at Sandpoint High School in North Idaho. Like, you can get great education in North Idaho in our district. That shows you right there. The other one that I have right now is biology. And that's allegedly, next to US history, students say this is the second hardest AP test that you take. It's very difficult. A lot of writing, and the US history is a lot of memorization, but this is one of the hardest you can take. And you can see here that we beat that our group beat Idaho and also beat the global. So on both, if you look right over at both of those scores, we beat them. So just really big kudos. Jim Barton, thank you to him, he teaches this, and Wendy Auld teaches the AP statistics. So a big kudos and a thank you to them for their hard work. It does take a lot of extra hours to meet with kids and really get them prepared. So this is a lot of extra work on those staff parts, and thank you to the students too who gave it their all, obviously. The next part is our safe schools and facilities. Thank you, Kelly, for fixing that top for me. That looks great. Just going to give you the quick update of what our District Safety Task Force has done and our annual safety update for you. I say this every year. Safety does not happen by accident. We spend a lot of time every month and a lot of brains coming together in preparation for us to make sure schools are safe. We have all of these people here, law enforcement, first responders, fire, sheriff, everybody's coming together. We have somebody from the sheriff every month now, our campus security officers and admin coming together to solve these problems. I'm not going to read this through, but just we've added things to our priorities that we have finalized. Look at all these that have been completed. Remember when the list was short and we still had all it to do? Look at how many. You can see that, the board can see that in your packets. The public could also access this after the meeting. This is everything we've completed in the last 3 years. This is phenomenal. I'm not bragging, I'm just telling you, if you look at other districts and projects they've completed, a lot of it has to do with grants that have been written. A lot of it has to do with Matt Deal sits on our committee. He's able to make that connection. You heard him talk about safety in the buildings. So the support of the people in this district, as well as the people externally that are helping us complete these. Here, we are waiting funding. All these bottom 3 are partially completed. The exterior window film, we're still waiting. We're probably going to look at grants in this next year. We'll be looking at grants for the fronts of the buildings where there's windows exposed to the external. Here you can see, I know the board was interested in what is Stop the Bleed kits, and the nurses wrote an additional grant, and you can see that we have 130 throughout the district, and you can see where they are. So our goal is eventually to have one in every classroom, but it's going to take us writing grants. There's a $100,000 grant with Panhandle Health District coming up in September. We are going to get a crack at that, and hopefully we can get them at Sanford High School and Clark Park High School, LPO High School to start with. Okay, improving student connection. Just reminding you that we had a student safety summit. This was our third year of having a student safety summit, and we already have our topic. I'll tell you that in September for next year, but really looking at being able to make sure parents are staying connected for how they can keep their students safe. And then reminding you that we also went and did follow-ups after the Sanford High School one at all of the elementary schools, so all elementary parents had access to get the information about the anxious generation and keeping their students safe as well. Recruit and retain quality staff. Just wanted you to know, one of the main things, we definitely have competitive salary and benefits. As we've reported on before, we are reinitiating this coming year the staff wellness program, but you'll hear more about that in September. I want you to know for reasonable class sizes, the average student to teacher ratio is 20.6, which is a pretty reasonable, but that doesn't take into consideration like secondary. They have prep, so then when you look at classroom sizes, they may be slightly elevated if you take out the prep times. Then we have some smaller, students with disabilities rooms and some other bigger ones like PE or band. So it all evens out to about 20.6, which is pretty reasonable if you look across the country at class sizes. Reminding you that this was our robust and relevant PD that we offered for all of our staff this year with Dr. Tisha Thomas, really looking at amplifying your impact with professional learning communities was our focus. So we really felt like we tackled that goal for the board. And then our community connection. We did our annual stakeholder feedback, student, parent, and staff feedback, which I've shared all of this with the board prior, but anybody in the public that wants to access this, it goes on the website right after this. Letting you know that the annual parent survey, reminding people it was 3.35 out of 4 is overall satisfaction level from the parents that responded. Their top priority is always usually facilities, but after some of the focus on facilities that we've given, I think that was helpful. Reasonable class sizes has bumped up in front of addressing facilities for their top priority, which is interesting. Areas they want to see improved here really still goes back to the condition of our facilities. That's the one area they'd like to see improved. And then parent engagement, about just over 3 is our score for that. And with our annual staff survey, just reminding you that our average from the staff was 4.11 on a scale of 1 to 5. Their priorities for the addressing facility, you can see the very top one, maintain competitive wages and benefits. The next one is class sizes, which I just discussed, and then the top one, facility issues. So I think those are all things that we continue to address for the staff. Reminding you that the loop, thank you to Darren who is here tonight. He's got this back to school edition is going to go out the 15th, so almost ready. And anyone in the public that wants to access any prior loops, which is our newsletter that goes out to parents in the community, it's right there on the bottom. You can click on that link. We did have the PAFE Gala. It was a success. It was almost $500,000, just over 465, something like that. And I just wanted you to see that I wrote the PAFE board to thank them for the amazing support, and on behalf of the district to thank them for all the work they did to put on the gala to help raise money for our students. And these were some of the teacher grants that were there that I just put in there. Another really positive is we had Camp Invention, which is the STEM invention that Lynette Leonard does at Southside Elementary. She did it at Sago, but she had people from all over the district. It went up from 60 students to 67. They do STEM things. They had full of design and innovation, and every school in the district had people that sent. So that was really good. That was different than last year. So that was a thank you to her. I also want to point out that our child nutrition program was one of 3 people in the state that won an award, and it is the Let Us Turn Up the Beat, which I had never heard of that before, so I had to Google that, and it's an actual competition. I'd never heard of that before. So we were recognized as a silver award. We got that. I wanted to point it out. All of our open house nights are Wednesday, August 27th this year. We're trying a new thing based on feedback from parents and feedback from the admin. So every open house, just at different times, they're going to advertise with their parents, are all on Wednesday, August 27th. Last but not least, I kept calling him Casey because I didn't want to announce it until I said the announcement. But we do, and he's next, so he can come on up. But we did get him from the board, and we did get him some nice, clean, congratulations to Casey. It's been several years in the making, and he works hours, nights, and weekends on his dissertation. He one time stole my cell phone and did a bunch of weird pictures of himself. That's how that picture,
They come back and haunt you eventually.
that is like karma coming back around, and it took it. So that's the least weird one that I could find that he did on my phone and put that in there. So, but now we will be able to say, as of now, Dr. Casey McLaughlin.
You didn't show me that slide earlier. When we went through this?
We're going to lay that.
I did a copy so that he wouldn't see it.
That's true.
That's why Matt's here, is to lay that.
Okay, and I'll put his up there now.
Okay. Mine will be brief. As part of my doctoral project.
Yeah.
We're point of order, we are not
Yeah,
following the agenda right now.
Oh, we're not?
Sorry.
Yep,
Yeah,
sorry.
it's not-
I can.
Dr.
Oh,
Meyer-
sorry.
Dr. Meyer jumped ahead.
Sorry, it's not you
Way
yet,
ahead.
Casey. I thought you were
No,
on that.
yeah, I'm like, wait.
Well, it's
We'll still time for you.
Yeah. Hey, congratulations.
Sorry, I got all excited, Casey.
You want the stack?
No, you can have it. Okay.
Yeah, so next up we have public comment. And the Board of Trustees welcomes patron comments from the community. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person and must be appropriate for an open forum. Input must not identify individual personnel or students or be abusive, defamatory, or obscene. This is a board meeting held in public, not a public board meeting as governed by Idaho Code 33, Section 5. Thus, no discussions or responses can occur during the meeting. Issues may be referred to a proper staff person or committee for follow-up per the board's discretion. Any complaint about the district, including instruction, discipline, district personnel policy, procedure, or curriculum, should be referred through proper administrative channels before it is presented to the board for consideration. Should a large number of the public wish to speak on the same issue or topic, you'll be encouraged to select one representative. And it looks like we have one speaker tonight, Stan Crayley, on the topic of stellar. Welcome, Stan.
Thanks, Ron.
You're welcome.
I know there's 3 minutes, and I rehearsed it. It takes 2 minutes.
Okay.
So, in fact, I'm going to read most of this. I actually gave you each one a copy. And I'm glad Dr. McLaughlin will be next, because he'll be a more positive note, and I'm slightly negative, so he'll finish up better. Anyway, Mountain Barn and Ranch Service has been in business for just over 20 years, and we have plowed snow for the district since 2008. We were invited to fill in when some other contractors didn't show, and we said, okay, we'd do it. For 17 years, we plowed the Northside School, and then in the last 11 years, we plowed the high school, the middle school, and middle school parking lots. We use the same 4 men every year. One of them is my son, and all of them have extensive experience plowing snow. All of them have commercial driver's licenses and operate equipment all year long. When there has been a problem, and there have been a few slight problems, we've addressed them immediately and taken care of them at our cost. To be more efficient, a few years back, we purchased a $21,000 14 by 5 snow pusher, because the regular loaders, and there's some pictures there, couldn't be efficient going down the long front straightaway, we call it Front Street, in front of the high school, because it's so long, the buckets would fill up immediately, and it just took excessive amounts of time. So we found by buying this snow pusher, 14-foot wide, we could do it much faster, and then the roads around back. So, and the big parking lots. One big push instead of 3 or 4 little pushes. So it cut the time down really nicely. To the effect that then it was put in the bids that anyone bidding must have a 14-foot snow box. So, as I said, we've done it for the last 11 years. The only time we always start at midnight and have to be out by 6 because that's when we have to be out. And only one time because of a poorly scheduled snowfall, that's a joke. We were not out in time because it started snowing like 4 in the morning. But anyway, the snow box that we use, according to the manufacturer, can hold up to 28 cubic yards of snow. And the one picture there will demonstrate that. Our competition, Interstate, bought a snow box that's 12-foot wide, so it didn't meet the criteria of the bid request, but it's 12-foot wide and 2.5-foot high. Ours is 5-foot high. They can carry up to 8 cubic yards of snow, according to the manufacturer of that unit. So they have to make multiple.
Mr. Crayley, time's up. Can you wrap it up, please?
All right, well, the rest.
What's that?
Oh, you said the time's up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, wrap it up. You can, yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead,
wrap it up.
finish your comment.
So it's not supposed to snow tonight, so there's no problem. But anyway, so we make, with the big snow box, one pass where the smaller snow box has to make 3 and 4 passes to equal the same amount. So that's all time, and since everything is back charged on an hourly basis, cost just skyrocket. So we were told, since we did not include a list of people, that we weren't qualified. So
okay.
we're not qualified this year.
Okay.
On any of the ones we bid on.
Well, thank you.
That's all.
All right.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah, I appreciate it. Next up, we have the consent agenda. Entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Are we going to be able to ask questions after we make a motion to approve? I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Okay. Open for discussion.
You could correct me if I'm out of order on this. I'm just reading this award snow removal now. I don't know if I'm allowed to comment on what was just said because it's in our agenda or not, or should I not? Am I out of order to do that?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on what was just said until we can come back.
That's fine. Yeah.
Next month, and just like we always do.
Okay.
Point of order, you can table an item if you have concerns
Yeah.
beyond.
I don't have any concerns. It sounded like we didn't accept their bid, but it's saying that we did. So I didn't.
Yeah, so
I know, that's why I'm
we
asking.
accepted their bid on
On some properties. Yeah.
So I did open the bids, but facility director Matt Deal could speak to them. They submitted bids for 2 locations.
Gotcha.
And they were awarded on what's in your packet for 1.
Okay. Then I'm good.
hold on. Point of order. Can I grab Matt?
Yes.
Should we speak about this?
Yes.
I would like to
I
speak
just
about this.
wanted to address the
Yes.
facts.
Would you
of
please,
what-
Yeah, so-
would you please speak about this and speak to the facts of what's going on?
Yeah, the facts are, we put out a specification and asked for certain criteria, asked what schools are interested, what the hourly rate, what the equipment. And this year, we included a different piece that, hey, what is your manpower and what's their experience? Okay, when it came down to assessing the high school and middle school, I had 2 bids that were within $5 an hour, but one contractor met the bid requirement, included a breakdown of the staff and their experience, one did not. When it comes to Northside Elementary, I only got 1 bid. So that's why I selected that contractor for Northside, because there wasn't a situation where I needed to evaluate multiple criteria, because I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions?
Yeah, I
you'd
think
like
that
me to-
answers it well. I don't know.
Yeah, since we're talking about this, I feel like we're okay to talk about this now, but, so I'm looking at this bid for the snow removal, and number 1 says that one contractor, but you recommend that we hire them essentially for Sandpoint High School, middle school, and Northside. That's number 1.
Number 1, he submitted a bid for plowing at Sandpoint High, Sandpoint Middle, and Northside. I recommend we accept their
I
proposal
see.
for Northside. Sorry that.
Nope, you're good.
Yep.
I misread that print there, so I take back all my things I said. Sorry to waste your time.
I evaluate
Ready to
these.
vote.
Yeah, no, it's a great.
I evaluate these, and it's really important to me that I make the best decision
For
based
sure.
on value and the quality of service, because in the morning, that quality of that parking lot ultimately falls on me.
Yeah.
So I try to evaluate things in a fair way that gets the best job for the best price we can get to, and that's what I've done.
Yep, you're
Okay.
solid.
All right.
I misread that, so
All right, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for letting me clarify.
Thank you.
We do. Your team does a heck of a job at making that dollar go a long way, so
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
approaching it in that way. Any other comments or questions on the motion at hand? Okay. All in favor? Aye. 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 Motion passes. Down to, all right, so now we have just first reading of policies. And first up, we have 2335, working health enhancement education.
Not letting me make it bigger, so maybe on your screens, just, not sure why this is.
Is that a full screen on the right?
Yeah.
And then zoom in?
I don't have to do that, but I'm going to, so that people can see it.
Yeah.
I just want you to know, this one, I'm totally open to feedback, but I did get, Kelly gave me the model policy. I did not like it at all, did not feel like it fit the culture and climate of our community, and I spent hours upon hours upon hours researching. I read every law that's at the bottom at least 5 times. I then did a split screen and went through the entire thing with the laws, and I'm totally open to the board's input. I just want you to know, this includes every piece of the law that by law we have to put in, without some of the side note things that I don't think is appropriate for our community. So I'd like you to really look at this one and really give me feedback on anything that you question, because I feel very confident in my preparation more than any other board policy I've ever done on this one. So I just wanted to give you that feedback.
Yeah, if you skip down to, what is it, 1, 2, I don't know what you're considering paragraphs. It is the big paragraph just below the numbers. Before, it says
Before
before
providing?
providing. Yep.
Okay.
Correct me, I mean, I don't know how I'm reading this, or if I'm reading it correctly, I'll just read it. Before
Yes.
providing instruction that addresses human sexuality as it is specifically and narrowly defined in Idaho Code 33-1609, and then basically saying these are the items in that code, correct?
Yes.
And it says, before doing that or teaching any of those things, the district shall provide parent guardians with at least 2 weeks of notice, blah, blah, blah. I was fairly surprised that some of those items are in Idaho code.
Yes, it's written out exactly that way.
So I was kind of shocked a little bit to see
Yes.
that that's a potential in our district because Idaho code says it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I don't think that we're teaching a lot of those things.
We aren't.
I'm thankful for that.
Right.
But,
But they do recommend we put in the definition of human sexuality specifically so that every parent could have, if anything about any of those words. I don't think we're doing 90%
Right.
of that.
Right.
But if it was, they specifically, the attorneys really thought it was important to have the definition. It actually had the definition listed out like this in numbers, down like looked like that.
Right.
And when Dr. McLaughlin and I looked through this, both of us were like, this is like your eye goes right to this,
Right.
and all you see is these words that are pretty offensive in my opinion. So I decided, and I can certainly take it out, the attorney wouldn't suggest that we do, but I put it in parentheses, and Kelly said if it's Idaho code, Kelly made it italicized so that the board and the public would know those are exactly from code, those exact words. So that's why she italicized them. But I was trying to make them still be in there because the attorney recommended that, but not stand out like they did before. So that was my rationale.
100%. I personally agree with how you've done that.
Okay.
I was just, I guess, more of a comment. I was
I know.
surprised that Idaho code, knowing our legislature has that like that.
It was, I know, I was
And
shocked.
I guess, is there any way, since we don't go down the road of these things in our, what is the class even called? It's not sex ed. What do we
No,
call it?
health.
It's health.
Right,
health.
yeah. We don't even address many of these things.
Right.
Is
Yes,
it
I
worth
would-
it all to put that
Yes.
in here?
I would
That's-
welcome
yeah.
a verbiage that the board recommends with that verbiage. I would welcome that.
Okay, because
Yes.
I was like that, surprised it's like that,
Yes.
and I know we don't teach that, but it's saying
Yeah.
that we could, and we'll send a letter if we
Yeah.
do.
I would be happy to add in something to that effect.
Can we do a procedure that we don't? Because my concern is that a lot of parents are gonna see this and they're gonna go, oh my gosh, well, we
Right.
got mine out. And
Right.
there's what we actually do cover.
Right.
It's very important
But I-
for everybody to learn.
I'm sorry,
No, no.
We do have, before we maybe do the wording, I still agree that we should preface it with a little bit, although LPOSD does not, teach on all of these as defined in Idaho, specifically and narrowly defined in Idaho code, where we still will send this home. I think we could start with the preface sentence. But in the parent form, they have to say the content. So the parent permission slip that I'll show you next will show you exactly that.
Yeah.
And it won't have this in the parent permission thing going home.
I personally would love some wording in there, so as
Okay.
if a parent or
Okay.
whoever were to read this, they
Yeah.
would then instantly see, oh, the district doesn't actually teach these things, even though it's allowed by Idaho code.
Yeah, I will come up with something like that, if it's okay with you guys, to come
Yeah.
back for the next, I'll send it to you ahead of time so you can look at it, so you can come prepared to the next board meeting if you have suggestions for that. I will come up
I
with
mean, I'm
that.
open for input, I was just, that's.
No, I think
my-
I love
you're
it.
right.
Yeah.
So it's taught in the eighth grade, seventh and eighth grade, because that's where my daughter teaches the health. And I've seen all this and I've seen the parent, and, one of her biggest concerns was, Dad, look at what the Idaho code does. Now, I started the health program in 1984. So, and none of this was in,
Right.
you couldn't do, that's a long time ago. But yeah, you didn't talk about a lot of things, right? So I'm surprised to see this too, but I don't think any of this, if they want to, like I told her, if they want the definition of something, they can look it up. I don't think we need to supply the definition.
Okay.
And, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'll do a follow-up again with our attorney, this is on the ISBA, and they had several people look at it. I will call ours and ask her if she recommends we put it in here, and if she doesn't, I can take it out.
That
I'll let-
wording?
Yep, I'll let you know before.
And if she recommends that we don't, is it then maybe a procedure?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was gonna be my
Yeah.
end, like,
Which
can
one is like-
we make the procedure very clear about what we do and don't do?
Yeah, I'll
So
show you that part.
Yeah, it's next. We've got-
And where would parents find this Idaho code if they wanted to look at, and they wanted to look all this up? They just look
Right
at
here,
the-
Idaho Code 33-1609.
Right, but would they go into the
It's
Idaho Department of
hybrid.
Education?
These are all.
No, you just Google it and it comes
Okay,
right up.
all right.
Yeah,
Idaho codifiers.
So you just Google it, okay.
okay, So then to show you, I'll show you the next, if you look at the, I'll show you the permission form first and then the parent complaints, if
Yeah.
that's okay. So this parent permission form, for any, it says in the laws, for sexualization or instruction related to human sexuality, it provides notice that we are going to be doing it, explaining it, and it says beginning on what date. Then they have to include a brief content that will be included or link the actual lesson plan in here to parents. Then they have to provide, tell them it's going to be taught, you have to come between this date and this date, and you have to return it within 1 week of when the instruction begins, or your student automatically, if it's not returned, has to have an alternate assignment. Yeah. And they, in the yes or no, and it's an opt-in, so every single parent has to return this. So that's what that by law, that's what this is including.
That's gonna be a big group.
Quick question, how can they return it? Does it have to be a hard copy or can it be digital? Or
It can be digital.
does that need to be specified?
Yeah, we're gonna say it when we have the thing that goes out and say you can return this with your, or you can send it in paper copy if you want. And then this, if there's a parent complaint that they didn't get and that they didn't get notification, this is the parent complaint because you can legally have restitution, have to be able to, there's monetary damages. So did anybody have questions? They really, basically this follows what our patron complaint policy is, like they have to talk to the school first, then they come to me, and then it would, yeah, so that would be, and I would get interviews and get information, and then the board would just tell me what to do. The board would say, do you want there to be amendments to the policy and the way we do things? Do you want me to be able to change the curriculum, take something out? Do you want me to do an apology letter? Or do you want there to be something to happen to the personnel, which is confidential, but that's what this all says. So the board directs what the next step would be after that. Okay, any questions about any of those? All right, so make sure I get this correct. I'm gonna ask our attorney if she recommends that we should keep in that definition from Idaho code. If she said, no, I don't think that's important, you don't have to have that in, then I'll reword that sentence to say that if they want to refer to know the definition, they can themselves look up the Idaho code. But our district, this is what we do in our district. If she says we need to keep it in, then I'm going to definitely say about
That we don't.
that we don't. The board is not in support of teaching these things, but it is defined in Idaho code, something along that lines, and I'll send it back out to you, and so you can have it before the next one.
Okay, I like that, yeah.
Did I miss anything on that?
No.
Sorry, this is a really
No, it's a tough
hard one,
Yeah, like,
because
we
it's
need to
pretty,
Be on top of it.
Yeah.
We need to be
So
top of it.
when did this get updated?
this was all stuff that passed in this legislative session.
So when, it's supposed to be,
That's surprising.
I'm not finding the language updated yet, so I was just trying to fill in.
In Idaho code,
I'm finding that under,
I could show you, we could look it up after, but I'll show you, if you look, it shows the full text, and at the bottom, it tells you what years they were done in, at the very bottom.
so it's under the obscene material, but I'm not finding the 16 on it, so I just must have the wrong.
Yeah.
Look later, thank you.
Circle back to that, but yeah, let's.
I've read it lots of times.
Yeah.
It's very, anyway, okay. That's the most comfortable thing to talk about.
All right, next we are on to 3265, student-owned electronic communication devices. This is a revision.
So for this one, this is this passed in the legislative session. It says they must be grounds. I felt like it was pretty inherent in our, communicated in our policy, but in rereading it, we thought it wouldn't hurt to put it in exactly as the legislative said, as limited as possible, which is true. And then, you just looked at this last year, and then it also says that you will direct me to develop practices that reinforce the ways of addressing these things, which we are addressing all of these already, but I think it's great to put that in there. So,
Your 3 minutes is up.
yeah. I'm not sure why that was set. I think that was supposed to be AM, it's supposed to be PM. Okay, so that's what that is. Does anybody have questions about that?
I don't. You guys good?
No.
Okay, and then,
3340 due process.
this is for students, and this was rewritten in the language with some new parent right bills, and also with the cyberbullying that they just was linked to that prior one. So you can see that they rewrote the disciplinary pieces here, and that basically everyone gets due process before they're suspended, and the board then can only direct ask for expulsion if you go through that process.
So we haven't defined who is involved in the informal hearing. Does that need to be, or how does that typically work?
It typically is the principal and the student, and they get their witness statement, any witness statements, and that's due process. It's an informal hearing before any suspension. Witness statements.
Does anybody have any questions or lapses?
It's really practice that we already follow in this district, that we followed last year when we followed this process. So I don't think it's anything that's going to be new to this district in the way that the board's operated prior.
Okay. Thank you. Next up, 3525.
And this is just by Idaho code, requiring that new information with the appropriate exemptions, and then putting this requirement, number of doses, they changed that piece, so just minimal. The parent can also use a form, or they can have a signed statement that they put in. The only question I had, and I didn't know if the board felt, it says in the law, students of majority age, I didn't know if we should put comma or parentheses age 18 and above, if that was important or not. I didn't know if most people did that.
I do.
Okay.
Maybe it says it in here and I missed it. Does this have any bearing on homeschool academy kids?
Yes.
And, okay, answered that. What about homeschoolers that play sports? Or are dual enrolled in some way?
I'm not sure, do you? I don't know about sports.
Yeah, I don't know about sports.
Do they have?
If you, all students can opt out fully
Yeah,
from the
fully opt out.
organization, no matter where, what they're doing, whether that's sports, homeschool academy.
So if it's a student, they get all those forms to opt out when they enroll. But if it's a homeschooler who just plays a sport, do they get those forms? And I ask. I know they don't because my kid is homeschooled and plays.
So maybe you don't need them for sports. I'm gonna have to follow through on that one.
So I'm asking,
Yes.
Sports.
We never checked them at the middle school. And I don't ever remember as being a head track coach ever having someone coming out to me and saying, hey, this kid wasn't in me that
I'm gonna follow up just and I'll send it to you.
and I would prefer that they not
Yeah.
have to, but it's just, I was thinking about it.
I don't think they do. I don't know how they can enforce that.
No. But we want to make it clear, like, I want to make sure that it's clear
Yeah.
that everybody, student and just student athlete, everybody has the same right to opt out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because in the reporting piece, it's not clear.
Which part?
There's the reporting piece,
Which,
the very end, it says reporting, we shall submit a report of each school's immunization status. But it does not include or break out different sections.
Yeah, and she's been reporting that already, so.
That's a good point.
But there's a new one that you have to do for a different date in the state now.
But I'm wondering if the homeschool academy and the Julia.
Well, I know for sure the homeschool academy has to follow the same registration process, and it's a supplemental extra program, but it is our students going there, so they have to, I know they do have to follow. But anyone can do an exemption like that.
And then what, not just the sports, but what about a dual enrolled, like homeschooler that is doing the dual enrollment? Is that a?
I know that they have to fill out forms because we're obligated, we get some attendance, we get some funding for them when they come.
So they probably get the full package?
Yes,
right?
so they should have the full package and have to fill it out, and the parents would have to say either submit birth certificate, immunizations, or an exemption for the part-time, even if you just take one period, I know. I just don't know about extracurricular, I'm gonna follow up with that.
All right, any other questions on that? Are we ready to move on? Okay, 5100, hiring process.
And for this one, we added the word director here, we didn't have on there, and we just changed it for the current school year. They sometimes receive a resignation, but then it said that we weren't allowed to post the position for the next school year until the board approved it. Well, sometimes they're still gonna finish the school year, so we want to be able to open that position before it gets to a board meeting, before the person's done. So that's all this sentence means.
Yeah.
And then we just forgot the word director, so I put that today in green there to add.
Okay.
So that's all that one is.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Next up, we've got 5225, placement on salary schedule.
And what happened with this, HR Director Loretta Short is here. She and Brian Smith worked, they just hadn't updated this since 2016. And this was the practice that had already been in the negotiated agreement and been in the last several years. It just hadn't been updated.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, as you know, since you're in charge of policies, there's a lot of policies, and sometimes there's ones that we need to go back and look at, and that's what this one is.
Yeah.
So that's already been happening in practice for several years.
I don't have any more questions. You guys good on that one? Okay. Moving on to 5360, dress and appearance.
We don't currently have one. I was asked by a new principal, what's our board policy? And Loretta and I talked about it, and we really decided instead of it just being in a staff handbook, we would feel more comfortable if there was a policy. So Kelly got a model policy, which I thought was way too specific. So I took some of the model policy, took some of the other staff handbook, and I put them together to try to make it pretty clear. I'm totally open to feedback if you feel like anything is too much or not enough. I'm totally fine with it, giving me any feedback.
I was just trying to figure out excessive amounts of the shoulder for my dress today.
Well,
I think you're good.
yeah.
Reasonable.
We got asked that by Brian Smith today. Dr. McLaughlin and I just got the same thing, and he's like, is any females going to, if they wear, like this, are they going to say anything? So I'm happy to change it.
I think it's like, what they call it, the cold shoulder one, where it like starts here and goes that way.
Or their bra straps or something.
Yeah. You want lasagna, not spaghetti?
This is the worst policy.
That's what we do in youth groups.
I think we should just write, we want lasagna.
Lasagna straps, not spaghetti.
I like it.
I think a dress code is good, because
Yeah.
the amount of time that you spend,
Yeah.
because the teacher is offended or someone else is offended.
And we just had it come up, and the principal didn't had a staff handbook to fall back on, but principals would feel better if there was an actual board policy that the board had approved. So I'm happy to change the excessive amounts of shoulder thing. Trustee Sherman, if you think we should change. You were an HR director, so I'm happy to have input that you think maybe we need to change that.
I leave this fully in your capable hands. You
Well,
know,
it says,
everything
like-
would like to hold this.
It said like reasonable, so like leaves it open, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no exact dimension.
Okay. Anyway, that's the context and the history of why we are
It's the
doing this
only
for the
thing I
first
could
time.
find to pick on. It's very well done.
All right, thank you. If you read it later and you change your mind and you have some suggestions, we're happy to put them in before the next reading.
I'm just now seeing this right now. It says shoes must be worn at all times. Yes, I agree. But is that specific to what type of shoe?
As in like,
I mean, like Crocs
versus-
like you go out, they're teaching outside and they're not out.
Yeah, or like Birks or something.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a shoe. Is that gonna make a difference? I'm just saying, does it mean closed-toed shoes or like, I don't think it,
I
just.
think this is a health hygiene one that we're
All right, cool.
required for health code, that they have to have shoes on.
I think that's
we were
great.
just going with that.
And safety.
Yeah.
Foot coverings.
The guy teaching shop can't wear flip-flops.
You should.
Or can, I guess, teacher.
Okay.
Do you want me to ask another question about this policy just for fun?
I think you can bring up any
No, I'm
type
just kidding.
of opportunity with this.
All right, thank you.
All right. Now, moving forward, we have this, this is a procedure, this is 2,700 graduation.
So you don't need to approve this, this is just showing you the second
Yeah, those changes.
reading. But Dr. McLaughlin was in charge of this. Do you have any questions?
Does anybody have any?
And we did go over this.
Yeah, we'll go over this.
Yeah.
And nothing's changed.
Nothing's
Nothing's changed on this at all, so.
No, we just, Chairman Williams, we just decided the procedure just to run it through a
Run it
second
through,
time.
so- All right, no questions there? All right. Next up, we have House Bill 93 board discussion. This is something that popped up last week, 2 weeks ago, I guess. We've discussed it a little bit. There's certainly a lot of moving parts and a lot more to come. I don't want to get too far down into the weeds on anything because there's really nothing for us to do yet. Like this is all, you know, fluid and, but, you know, we had several patrons reach out and I definitely wanted to address it just so that everybody knows we are aware of a lot of the changes and things that are going on, but it's a fluid, it's very, you know, things are moving, nothing's set in stone. There's really nothing for us to do yet at this point on these topics. Does anybody have any questions on this? Dr. Meyer, I don't know if you have any comments that you would like to.
Well, I just think the patrons wanted to know we're aware of what it is and
Yeah.
are we, you know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here to read.
Yeah,
Which,
there's certainly.
have you written, you know, one asked me if I'd read it, and I said, I tried getting through it. It's like 14 pages or 40 pages, but I just think they want to, you know, are we on top of it, and whatever we believe, but.
So I tried to sum up kind of what people had sent. So I had several emails, I'm sure you guys did
Yeah.
too, and then people stopping and commenting. And I just kind of took notes and tried to sum them up into the 4 main comments so that I could share them with you guys. And again, this is just public input. Basically, it's asking taxpayers to bankroll a parallel education system without applying the same standards and safeguards that we have to operate under, like financial audits, open meetings. It's the transparency and accountability that is a major concern. It locked in a priority for returning recipients. It was pitched as helping struggling families, but it could become a permanent subsidy was another concern. One I heard over and over was basically building a funding structure that could destabilize the education, the planning for the entire state, and it would have long-term systemic instability. And I think they're looking at other states that have had this, where it's gone from, there's a lot of numbers. Major balloons, yeah, and then it's led to budget meltdowns, cuts to other programs, including water and construction and so forth, and other places. And basically, the taxpayers do not have the say, the oversight, and the guarantee that their investment serves the children fairly. And that falls into one of those buckets consistently.
That's very good, because that's about it.
That's some of what the concerns were as well. And again, like, there's nothing for
Nothing
us
we
to
can
do
do.
yet, but we are absolutely staying on top of this. And, you know, I think history should be any indicator here. This board is very up on public policy and Idaho code, and we'll be on top of this one as well, whatever comes down the pipe.
I do want to add to the minutes that House Bill 93 goes through the State Tax Commission. So I really need people to know this is not a board decision. This is something the legislature passed. And it's not going through the Idaho Department of Education. It's not going through our funding mechanism. It is on the parents. It retroactive to the beginning of 2025. So families that want to use the tax credit, and they put it into their taxes, and it's between them and the State Tax Commission. So right now, to your point, Chairman Williams, this is not something that our district has any action or is doing anything about at this point. This is how the legislators set it up. So I just want to be real clear with people. That's how it's.
Good point.
set.
Yeah, and it doesn't affect the public school funding structure at all. It's separate. It's a
Yes,
tax.
exactly.
So it's not taking money from public schools at all. Certain funds.
It's a parallel, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I don't want to get too far down in the weeds on this, but I know that the constituent concerns that I have received addressed, I think people understand that. The fear is, what's the downstream effect? What does this do? Yeah, it's X amount now. Does it balloon into something huge that then does erode the ability as a state to provide services for everything else, up to and including education. And as we are the biggest line item on the budget, everything affects us.
But everyone who's mentioned it, asked them to channel that and have that discussion in your public discussion.
Yeah.
There is nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing for us to do.
Totally.
Yeah, but I think it's good to be
Good
aware
feedback.
and
Yeah.
have those conversations. Like,
Good job taking notes.
Yeah.
and there's always learning moving forward from other people's states and states. So who knows? All right, any further discussion there? We can move on. Okay. Next up, we have Dr.
Sorry to get you so excited before Casey. I made it. I was so excited about it that whoops, what am I doing?
That's great. Everything but the picture was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, that's karma coming right back around, buddy.
I forgot that I'd even done that.
Oh, I could have picked ones way worse.
You should have asked me.
I was nice. I was nice.
Just so you know, I do have to send this to my university, and so I can't take the picture, or I can't take any questions till the end, just so.
Okay.
It's because I have to protect all participants of any kind of extension of a dissertation or anything else. So, and I have to record myself, so I'm doing that at the same time. Okay. And I promised I would not belabor this. So, we did talk quite a bit about this before, and I don't expect anybody to remember what I was doing. But just a little bit of a heads up. The statement of the problem was that what we really wanted to do in a positive term, instead of stating that as a problem, was increase formative assessment in our math classes, specifically at Sandpoint High School. And so instead of saying it as they're not doing that enough, which really wasn't the case when I dove in and did a root cause analysis, it really was how do we just increase the number of formative assessments to increase student achievement. Because formative assessment is a leading measure, so on the front end you can tell whether a student is doing well or struggling. And instead of it being a lagging measure, which are your summative assessments, like our stated test assessments, those type of things, where at the end of that, it's really hard to do anything about it, right? How do I then affect change if it's after the fact? So just really was sprung on by the ISATs, and of course a failure rate of 15% of our Algebra 1 students. And this was of course 3 years ago when I started to look at this. But we kind of went back and forth, right? We had COVID in there, we had some different things go on. The test changed from a 10th grade to 11th grade test. There's some different structure of the test. So there's some different issues that you can see that kind of went back and forth. But that kind of sprung the idea of how do we do this? And so when I was looking at this, I decided that I was going to do a professional development intervention, and I was going to see how that worked, how the professional development would work over time to really change teachers' practice. Now, unfortunately, when I actually got to do this, I had 6 weeks. right? So you can't change a ton of practice in 6 weeks, but you can do your best. So step one was to make sure that we had everything in place that teachers needed, and then develop an actual PD and initiate that, and then have teachers just apply that into their classes, and I'll talk through that. So what I used is this whole idea, and what I had called it in the first place was baking it into the cake, because the idea of the whole project was that when I really researched successful professional development, it was really clear that teachers need to feel like it was relevant, that it wasn't some one-off or something that wasn't a part of their daily structure of what they did, and they wanted to know that if we're going to do formative assessment, where does it fit, and how does it fit in what I do every day? So instead of just having hey, we're just going to do formative assessment, we're going to teach you how to do that, and then you're going to apply it. What I learned from all my research was the most successful ways to integrate something is to make it something that they do every single day. So what I did is I looked at a lot of research and came up with what I termed Focus 4 and one more, and that was just talking about a structure for everyday instruction in the classroom. And you can see them, I won't go through each one, but basically each of those 4 areas are main 4 areas of any lesson. If you think about a high school class, if you're going into a math classroom, this is the structure of those kind of classes and what you want to see. So really showing teachers this is what we want to see, and the one more was feedback, and feedback should be integrated into every single part of a lesson. So that was integrated, and I spent some time teaching our teachers about each one of those at high school. We then had teachers go into each one and circle where they thought they were, what we call a strategy implementation guide, and pick one area of the Focus 4 and one more that they wanted to improve. And it didn't have to be in the assess and adjust, which is formative assessment. It could be anywhere. And my theory of the whole thing was that if they improved in one spot, it would improve the ultimate spot, which I wanted to, which was formative assessment, the assess and adjust. So what did I find? Teachers were great. They were super excited about this because when I didn't do it as something that was, you have to do this. It was totally by choice. And that's how any kind of participant-led study is. Teachers, as I interviewed them and talked to them about what we had learned, what they had experienced, actually every single one of them expressed some gratitude. We talked about strategies that they implemented to try to get better. What I did see is that no matter which area that they chose in Focus 4, it did increase the use of formative assessment. So that was pretty exciting to see that no matter which area that they said, hey, I want to try to do, maybe not assess and adjust, but I want to try one of these other areas where overt instruction, and I really want to get better at that. And even if they were getting better at that area, they were implementing formative assessment more and more. So teachers were motivated. It was definitely relevant to their current practice. And there are some critiques, of course. In 6 weeks, it's hard. Getting teachers over that course of that 6 weeks, a couple teachers said, by the end, you kind of forget about it, right? You're just doing your thing. So there's definitely always some piece of that. So what did I find? I found that adaptable frameworks, that they work. If you have a framework for education and you implement that as something that's holistic and not just here's a one-off, try to do this, it's far better. The design of a professional development, as long as teachers really view that it's supportive and relevant, that's very helpful. Coherence is key, so I try to implement what they were already doing. It wasn't something new, so teachers didn't feel like, hey, this is something brand new you're doing. They already felt like they were doing the things that, and they indicated that they felt like they were already doing the things that were being asked. Trust in relationships, enhance implementation. The more I went in and talked to them, the better results and the better information I got back from the teachers. And that agency drives sustainability, and to every single teacher said, because you allowed me to pick what I wanted to improve, and it wasn't something that I had to do, I was actually really motivated by it. And several teachers, we had Matt put up a ton of whiteboards in classrooms and math classrooms because they were trying strategies that were directly from this. Vertical learning strategies where students were standing up and doing vertical, like showing all their work, and the teacher could walk around. And all the teachers are saying that this had a huge impact on them. So overall, what would I recommend afterwards is I would say that framework actually really worked. The high school started using it, Sandpoint High School started using it. I'm not supposed to say that. The name of it. The school started using it more and more. and they're actually utilizing it through every single department. And then chunking the elements, I would do that, like take each piece, and teachers said, hey, we could use a little more time on each of those just to implement it into what we do every day. And increase the time allotted for teachers to self-assess themselves. That was some feedback I got from teachers. And then the study the impact, you know, we did for the first time, our mathematics scores went up above 50% proficiency, which is pretty exciting, really exciting. Was this a cause of it? You know, I think there were a lot of causes. This had some effect, it had some impact, and there's a lot more there that you could study. And on top of that, right, all the departments started using this framework, and all the departments, all those scores did increase. So there's a lot more there to understand if there's actually a correlation with what we're doing, but that's the gist of it. So, and I can take your questions. Just a really quick version. I had to do like a 25-minute version for other groups. So, yeah, does anybody have any questions?
I think it's great. I think it's really cool to, it comes from, you know, you can tell there's the passion there, you have the experience, and to take an approach of like, no, how can we improve this with buy-in and do it the right, smart way so everybody can learn? Like, I think,
Yeah. I think I've learned it the hard way a lot. When you try something and teachers push back, or if people are frustrated, you can't figure out why, then figure out something that the teachers can have a ton of say in.
So if you had 6 more months, is there one thing that you would do with this? What would be the next step?
I would just keep it going and then integrate that into a process where teachers were self-assessing and allow them the leeway to say, this is where I want to improve, and this is how I want to improve. And then and that allows admin to then support what they're doing. For example, those whiteboards, that was just a supportive measure, which the teachers came back and said, that was awesome. And what happened was, one teacher said they wanted it, and then it ended up being in like 4 different classrooms. I mean, yes, this is great. It will improve my instruction.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which is just a great way.
I do want to let you know, I'm bragging on him for a little bit. Today, I'm going to ask you more questions about this. This Focus 4 plus 1 more is actually, I told him he needs to patent it, because he actually, at trademark, I said, get the C after, because, and not for Casey, but copyrighted, because he did a lot of synthesis of some real stellar Marzano and Hattie and different things he brought together, Spoker. He then changed this to the Focus 4 plus 1 more. We're doing this, highlight to the 2 principals that are here tonight, is we're going to be using this, Matt Brass is designing a walkthrough app for us based on Casey's work to do feedback to staff when we do our walkthrough observations based on this Focus 4 plus 1 more. So I think this is going to have lasting, when you talk about 6 months, this is going to have like long legacy forever, that Dr. McLaughlin created this for our walkthrough observation. So it's really good, really amazing work. It's hard to summarize it, but it really is amazing once you get into it.
I would like to commend you from student to doctor.
Yeah.
30-some years we know each other, and you've always put your education first. Congratulations.
Next, we are moving on to board action items. First up, we have the transportation program. James Kaler, our director. Thank you for coming.
So each year, I'm asked, or I'm required by the State Department of Education to have our transportation program approved by our board. This year, compared to last year, it really hasn't changed much. So I don't have a lot to say, other than I just like it approved.
Fair enough.
We took off a couple of daycares. They're no longer in business. And other than that, really, we made some efficiency changes on some of the routes. Some that were getting full, we moved some kids over to some other routes. And we made some changes on drivers. Some drivers wanted different routes, and we made that switch around. But other than that, we were really going to do exactly what we did last year.
Excellent. I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the transportation program for 2025-26 school year.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next up, we have the Transportation Department handbook.
So Dr. Meyer tasked me with looking at all of the recent updates and improvements on Board Policy 8100, which we integrate into our manual. So all of our transportation policies are actually in our transportation manual, transportation handbook. And that was adopted by the board, I think most recently a few years ago, or readopted, I should say. So this just reflects what the model policies that were given to me, and I took those improvements or stuff that we needed that were required to have, and I added them into the transportation handbook. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Other than that, they really are. There was just a few of them that we didn't have any wording on, such as like the use of district vehicles. That now we have a wording in there that says, hey, this is the rules to follow if you're using district vehicles. Some rewording on the safety busing and just some other stuff. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I was impressed how thorough this was.
Yeah.
I mean, this is amazing. It was a good job. I mean, it's nothing there's nothing there that isn't there that's not supposed to be here. So it's awesome.
Chairman Williams, I will tell you that I read these every year just to make sure, and I said to James, why did you do so many changes this year? Because I was like, this took forever. You can see there's 62 pages. He said, Becky, those were all legislative changes and updates that he needed to include.
Yeah.
So there was only one question actually that I had at the very end that he answered. So I'm in fully support of this. He did an excellent job integrating it all in there.
Yeah. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the 2025-26 LPOSD number 84 transportation handbook.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes.
Thank you.
Good job.
Next, keep scrolling through it. Thank you.
All right. Back to you, Dr. Meyer, with CSO program manual.
So this has been a couple years in the making. We had one from the, again, Lakeland School District when I was the superintendent there. We had our first campus security armed guard program, we called it. So we started to create it then. So we took, borrowed one from Lakeland, and then we took one, Keith Delahante, who's our CSO up in Clark Fork Cove, Northside Kootenai. He got one from a different district that he's worked in and somebody else he knew, so we melded 3 or 4 together. He did the framework, Kelly did some editing, then I did the final on my way to Japan and back. 5.5 hours worth of work got lost, but other than that, this has been a couple years in the making, but we're down to it. We're happy to take any feedback you have. As soon as the board approves it, then we'll take the word draft off. But it does cover everything that we think is foundational for us for the program.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Very comprehensive.
It's all good.
Tim?
I was just looking at the physical fitness test.
Yeah.
Like, dang, Gina.
Who came up with that one?
I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to adopt the LPOSD number 84 Campus Security Officer CSO Program Manual.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Thank you. The CSO team will be very thankful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next, we have a couple alternate authorizations. First up, we have alternative authorization, teacher to new. Do we have any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the alternate authorization for Pamela Hoskin.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. That motion passes. Next up, we have Rebecca Benoit. And alternate authorization for Rebecca Benoit. Any questions on this one?
motion to approve the alternate authorization for Rebecca Benoit.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passed. All right, next up, we have the alternate authorization for Tim Rickard. Same story on this one. If you have any questions, let's talk about them. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move, sorry, to approve the alternate authorization for Tim Rickard.
No second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. That, we're gonna, did you want to straighten that? Yeah, that's okay. Okay.
Double checking the third.
Do we have any administrative announcements from our administrators?
I would like to formally introduce, you probably already know her, but Jennifer Bycandy Mrs. Bycandy is going to be the principal at Kootenai Elementary. She served as an assistant for the last couple of years, and then when there was some medical leave, she stepped in as the interim principal for a while. So she is the principal, and Mr. Derek Dickinson is her assistant principal.
Lucky girl.
Dynamic duo.
Do you have the, she might not know, but if you could give any announcement of anything from your school, if you want to tell the board, update them on anything that's appropriate for a public setting.
I can at this point, I'm just excited to get the year started, and Mr. Dickinson and myself have had some time. I think it's going to be a really great, fun year at Kootenai. And so I will just kind of say more to come probably later for that.
Excellent. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Ms. Hamer, anything for you?
Today's day 2 back to work, and I guess my announcement is the building looks fantastic. Thanks, Matt and crew. So, facilities look great.
Yep. That's fantastic. That's my elementary school too, so I went.
It's such a return.
Yeah. I did some damage in the second grade. All right, anything else? Any other-
I would just like to say one last thing, and I'm sorry that Mr. Trustee Woods is not here, but I think you guys can get into this in executive session without him, because this is for his birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And we were
There
gonna
you
sing
go.
happy birthday to him, and he didn't, he had a fair thing to do with skiers, and he's in charge of something, so he is for a very good reason that he's not here, but I did want to tell him on record that we did wish him a happy birthday. And I personally want to, I thanked Matt Deal and his crew and the crew that did this, but I do want to thank the board. We are very appreciative that you supported the decision for us to create this space for the boardroom, and it is labeled the LPOSD boardroom, so it's primarily for the board, and then we as a K-12 and operations team and other professional development will participate in here also, but we want to thank you for giving us permission to build this. I think it turned out really nice.
Very nice.
So,
Yeah.
thank you to the school board for your support. Thank you.
All right. Move into executive session.
I make a motion to move into executive session as provided for in Idaho Code Title 74, Section 206, subsection 1B, to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent, or public school student.